All right, just get your thoughts on how well y'all played last week, but moving on, top 5, and kind of the mindset going into next week.
Yeah, anytime you advance from the regionals, it's your season comes down to 3 rounds, so everybody knows that, and the guys handled it really, really well. We had a good game plan. They executed, really almost flawlessly to the game plan, and we had all 5 guys in it, the whole time, which is nice. Even like if you see Auburn, they played great the last day, but they had a kid that shot 78. They had to drop his score, and so I really feel like it was a total team effort, and one that you don't get too many times where it's stress-free there at the last 3 or 4 holes, and it felt finally could breathe a little bit down the stretch when we had pulled away from that 5th spot a little bit and finished 3rd. Looking forward to the national championship. With this crew, it's a special crew. We've been through a lot. I think they lived in Ludwig's shadow a little bit and wanted to get out of that, and we set that in motion to be our culture. And I'm just really happy for these guys, especially Ward. I know he's been up and down. I subbed him at conference, so I pulled him at conference and subbed him out for another player. And not a lot of guys would have handled that well. So for him to not only go back and requalify and do the things he needed to do to make the top 5, but then he parlayed that into some good play. And I challenged him hard. I challenged him hard to find their best mental game and the things that make them play best. And he obviously went back to work and found those things. And he's a world-class ball striker. And when he gets his things lined up and going well, he can compete with anybody.
What do you think was the key for his turnaround to get through the rough spots and play the way he did?
When Ward believes in himself, he's very good, and so I knew maybe something was off with some of his technique and some things that he found in his technique, but it also just starts with the belief in himself, and a lot of times that's just not there consistently. So we just challenged all the guys, but he took that challenge personally and dug deep and went back to work. And I think specifically, I think he liked the golf course and how hard it was, and the game plan we set. He probably executed the game plan that we set in motion better than anybody on the team. Not because he finished first, but he bought in and really stuck to those things. We played it pretty conservatively in some spots where other teams played aggressively, and so he really bought into that space a lot, and he did a great job.
What did you guys do differently on the 2nd and 3rd days? It seems like that's when you made your move in that tournament.
Well, we really played pretty good in the first round. Just got sloppy at the end and let it get away from us. Made a couple big numbers and turned to what I thought would be a solid round into, just a round that, wasn't very competitive, and found ourselves in 6th place. And then day 2 was the toughest day by far. The whole locations were very tough, and I think that's where our game plan shined a little bit more. On the way we played the golf course, we laid back a little on some certain holes that had trouble, at 300 yards where these guys hit it, and laid back and took a little longer club into a few of those hard holes and leaned on our ball striking. We have some longer guys, Ward and Callum, that could hit 7, 8 irons, 200, 215. So we laid back for those guys, and they hit good shots, and we didn't make that many bogeys. It was hard to make birdies that day, and we just kept grinding and played the hard holes a lot better. I think 14 got us day 1. That was the hardest hole in the golf course, and I think we made a double and 3 or 4 bogeys on that hole. And then day 2, I think we of the counting scores, we played even par. So that showed up, and then the last day just was a lot easier, and we really didn't get going until the back 9 there.
Tell us a little about how Callum played.
Yeah, Callum played really well, too. I know Ward clipped him a little bit there to finish first, but Callum's been a guy that we need to play well. He's the guy that we counted on. He's the highest ranked kid in the World Amateur Golf rankings on this team, and he's starting to figure out a little bit more about himself. And these things aren't very linear in golf. You're learning things, but it doesn't always show up. Well, it's starting to show up for him. Just some things, some maturity things, some how to see things on the golf course a little bit differently. And Coach Vargas is doing a great job with him on some strategy stuff out there, and so it's just finally starting to click. And I think that's the exciting thing about this team, is that we have the pieces. when we play really well to be, you know, one of the best teams in the country. We just haven't done that consistently all year, and we were doing that early in the spring. We got away from that and had some, you know, a lot of sloppiness there for a while, and I saw a lot of the stuff I was seeing early in the spring show up at the regional, and that's what you hope for, having your best stuff at the right time.
How are you guys able to recruit internationally so well? I mean, you have so many foreign-born players last year and then again this year that have helped you guys out in a big way.
Yeah, it's always been a little bit around at Texas Tech. You know, we're trying to find the best players that we can, and sometimes it's hard to beat. You know, Oklahoma State's had a good golf program for a lot of years, and so they were getting a lot of players in the Dallas area, and you're trying to beat Texas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, and you feel like maybe to compete at the level that you need to, you just go try to find players wherever. At least when we first started, you know, this program, you know, getting to the top 15 and getting to some of the things that we've been doing lately, and you know, that's parlayed into having a few, you know, the pipeline in Sweden, and you pick up a kid like Ludwig who does really well, and then it becomes easy to get those guys over there. But we still want to recruit Texas hard. We've got Matthew Comagese, a 6A state champion here, and so, but to your point, we're just trying to find players wherever they are. And if you look at on any roster, even at the University of Texas, you'd think they wouldn't have players that are international, but they do. They have a kid from South Africa, and they've had players from all over as well. So it's we're all looking, and it's a global game, golf. It's not, you know, like baseball or football where most of your recruits are going to be American kids. It's a game that's played worldwide, and you know, we have a South American on our team as well, and have had a lot of South American players too. So yeah, we're turning over every stone that we can to find players that fit our culture first and foremost, and we don't care where that is. And but we certainly find a lot of players in this area as well that fit that culture too.
And then it's only been a year, but have you noticed an uptick in that since, you know, Aberg had
a
crazy year last year?
Yeah, I think you know, we have a great recruiting class coming in for 24, and I would say because of Ludwig, it was a lot easier to get these kids' attention. And similar results in 2025. We have the top ranked player, I think, in Europe coming as well. So yeah, I tell people Ludwig's the gift that keeps giving. You know, whether it's his exposure or, you know, the kids that notice that, hey, he got #1 in PGA Tour University. He did it there at Texas Tech, and that's where I want to go as well. So it's easier to tell that story when it happened, and other than just trying to dream it up.
On an annual basis, how many trips do you make to foreign countries for recruiting?
I'd make as many as 2, but I'd say I've averaged, you know, under 2. But there are probably, over the last 10 years, I've visited, you know, 2 times in the summer. I'd say, you know, 25-30% of the time. But most of the time, I'll just take 1 trip over and watch the European Boys Championship. But I have gone to the British Am and the British Boys Championship as well, where you get, you know, players from all over the world that come to those events there, and they come here too, you know. So we're not just evaluating them across the pond. They come over and play in some American events as well. The Orange Bowl event is over the Christmas break in Miami. That's where actually Recruited Board first saw him, was there. So we're able to pick up a few events that they play. San Diego hosts an event, the Junior World, that these kids come play in, and then also the AJGA has a couple international fields too. So we get to see them probably 4 or 5 times over the course of the year, and you know, we don't always have to go over there to see them in Europe.
Yeah. Where did you first see Ludwig?
I saw Ludwig first at the European Boys Championships. I can't remember, they all kind of blend together.
Yeah.
I'm getting old, but I can't remember which city it was, but I do remember going and watching him playing in the Scandinavian Masters after he was committed, just to make sure he came, because he was getting really good at that point. So you feel like you're kind of protecting what you had committed. And
yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember exactly where it was that year that I first saw him.
Speaking of Callum a moment ago, where is Sandy now? What's his
Yes.
progression been like over the last year or so?
Yeah, Sandy's playing on the Latin American Tour. They call it the Americas Tour now, which is a feeder to the Corn Ferry, and he's doing really well. Matter of fact, he's leading this week. Well, he's only 1 round, but he shot 64 yesterday, and is leading in I think Bogota, Colombia. So I think he's right around the top 15 right now, and if he gets in the top 10, I think he gets into Corn Ferry. Don't want to jinx him, but if he wins this week, I think he gets straight to Corn Ferry. So he'd be in the top 3 after the Latin swing, because then they go up to Canada after the Latin swing. So if he can somehow win this week, then I think he would immediately go to the Corn Ferry, which is obviously the feeder right underneath the PGA Tour.
So he hasn't had any issues with his wrist?
No, he's doing good. He's doing good after his last surgery, and changed a little bit of his grip to put a little pressure off that right hand, and I think he's got some things figured out and is doing well. He's actually in town quite a bit. He comes when he's on the Latin swing, he'll come in town and practice here, so he's been in town quite a bit the last 3 weeks.
You mentioned a moment ago, open qualifier. How many guys do you have who are going to open qualifier?
So 3 on this of our 6 are going to be in Dallas Monday. Board, Tyron, and Callum are going to be playing. So this is second stage. So if they make the next one, they're in the open. We had a few guys just barely miss. Matthew missed by a shot, I think, to the next stage. There's 2 stages before you get to the open, and we have 3 guys in the second stage.
What course are they playing?
I don't even know. I know it's in Dallas. I'm not sure where they're going.
Format and national, same as always?
Same as always.
15.
72 holes to 8, or 54 holes to top 15 teams. That's the first cut, and then 72 holes for the top 8.
Yeah.
And then when we go to 8, it goes to match play.
All right.
Okay, so advancing on, how does it feel to have that one behind you and the confidence going into the 12?
That's good to have gone through regionals. It's probably the most stressful week of the year as a golfer, because of 14 teams and 10 of them can probably advance, and then all of them are pretty good, and you just have to play well. And luckily we did as a team.
To be the regional medalist, what does that mean to you, particularly at this stage of your career and being kind of on that big stage at an important time?
I mean, of course it means a lot to play a great week myself, but regionals is all for the team, get the team through to nationals, and I think if you ask any regional medalists, they're just glad to help out that they got the chance to play the best in the field for their team.
You had that stretch on the last day where you had, what was it, 5 birdies in 6 holes, something like that. What kind of, sort of a zone were you in at that point, or what was the key to that when you got hot?
I mean, I just looked at the scores through 9, and I saw Callum was playing really well, so I thought, try and catch him, and then some putts started dropping from everywhere on the greens. Really, just I don't think I missed a putt pretty much in the last 9 holes. So yeah, just the hole looked big, and that was just fun, really.
What would you say was sort of the highlight shot or putt during that hot stretch? In other words, if your round had been on ESPN, what shots or putts would they have been shown in terms of length or an approach or something like that?
I mean, I think my tee shot on 18 probably would have hit ESPN Plus for top 10 luckiest shots of the week, rolling around the water. But I mean, no, I hit a really good one into 16. I saw Callum hit one that I thought was going in because there was quite a weight on that hole, and I was able to follow that one up, and luckily I made the putt.
Coming all the way from Norway, right?
Yeah.
What was the decision to come here like?
I mean, just a team, just the environment of Texas Tech. We used to have a Norwegian assistant coach. He texted me, well played on Wednesday, and I texted him it probably wouldn't have happened without him. So I'm just grateful for him and Greg to take the chance on me. Back then, I wasn't a great junior player before my final year, really, as a junior golfer. And guys like Matt Thurman and at Arizona State and other places got interested, but I was already here, and these guys believed in me the earliest, and I wanted to prove them that was a good decision.
What effect is playing with what they have on you and the rest of the program?
I mean, it's showed that anything's possible, really. I mean, it just showed us what good golf really is about, and how to do it, what it takes, and he's just a great example for all of us that Texas Tech is probably one of the best places to come at this time.
Texas Tech has had a lot of guys from Sweden, maybe not as many from Norway. What do the Norwegians, what's the relationship like between Norwegians and Swedes, generally speaking?
I mean, we want to beat the Swedes at mostly everything, I guess. But nah, I would say coach is wrong on that one, because as of the last 6 years, there's been more Norwegians here than it's been Swedes. So I think we're one up on the Swedes now. So.
Is y'all's culture, how are the cultures similar and how are the cultures different?
I think this year the culture is really good. We've worked on some stuff that it's kind of like the next man up mentality from last year. We were all pretty stoked about being on the team with the best guy in the country. And this year I feel like anyone on the team can win 1 week and anyone can have to grind it out for the team. And I think if we're on a good roll and we're playing our best, I think we're hard to play against, because anyone will play well, and on this team when they play well, it's not some guy that drags the team around.
How would you describe your personal experience as a golfer here at Texas Tech in terms of just the grind? Because you've had obviously some very good times, and you've also had some times when I guess you kind of slump, like as all golfers do. What is it? How did you kind of handle the lows to get back to this level of high?
I mean, I think golf just has adversity like any other sport. You just really don't know what's around the corner, and you just have to try and grind it out for yourself and for the team, obviously in this case. And I think people have believed maybe more in me than I believe in me, and sometimes you just have to find a little bit of that belief, and I feel like I've just found some between conference and regionals really that made the ball go a little bit straighter and some putts really start rolling in.